What's going on, my fellow Kino Lords? So tonight I'm going to be talking about a film called Eddington, which is written and directed by the one and only Ari Aster. Um, so just being straight up, this was more than likely my most anticipated film of the year, and I'm an Ari Aster simp. Just gonna go ahead and say that I'm guilty. Crucify me, lock me in jail, throw away the key. I absolutely love Ari Aster as a filmmaker. I've loved everything that he's made. Hereditary, Midsummer, Beau was Afraid, his last film, is fucking incredible. I know that that film is insanely polarizing and divisive, but I think that movie is beautifully chaotic by design. I know a lot of people call it messy, but I think that's a lot of the intent, and I think like goes very well with what he's trying to go for creatively, and it just that movie is just a beautiful, horrific, dark monster of a movie, and I just love every second of it. And yeah, so those just whatever. That's what I think about all that. But obviously, like with all that being said, like super hyped for Eddington. Um, and you know, before going into this film, obviously I knew it was written and directed by Ari Aster, but when I heard that it was a dark comedy, western satire with some elements of horror, I was like, this is gonna be another really weird genre bending kind of movie. And after watching Eddington, I gotta say, it was a little bit of a mixed bag of a movie for me. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I actually really, really enjoyed it and really liked it. So much about it that I really appreciated. But it was more of a mixed bag than I expected. Um, and I'm definitely going to have a nice handful of, I guess, negative things to say about it. But overall, I still think that there is so much here to appreciate, so much here to read into, so much here to digest. I think Ari Aster just throws so much at you. Like, I mean, if I had to compare it to any other film that he's made, I guess it would be Beau is Afraid, just because of the kind of absurd satire. Um, but it's not nearly as absurd as Beau is Afraid. Um, but I would say it is a lot more satirical than Beau is Afraid. I feel like this is this is definitely him going full comedically. This is him going full satirically comedic. I'll say that. And I feel like he chose the Western setting as a way to kind of like showcase an isolated town that has and would be dealing with COVID during the time. And before I get into the negatives, I just want to say he did an excellent job at really like demonstrating and also like recreating the kind of like COVID era, like this very paranoid, divisive era that we all lived through, especially in America. I mean, the whole world went through it, but I think like America was kind of notorious for the American public kind of eating itself alive. And I feel like this movie demonstrated that to a T. And like the first 20 minutes of this movie, I thought was just so good at kind of recreating that setting. Um, and again, like I know the movie's very new. I saw this movie at a press screening, so not a lot of people have seen it. Most people have not seen this movie yet, so I don't want to get into anything spoilery. But I'll just say like the first 15, 20 minutes of this movie definitely focuses more on that kind of like COVID pandemic experience, specifically revolving around, the kind of enforced use of masks. And I thought all that was just so good. Like I really, really loved every second of that. Um, and and yeah, like this, like Ari Aster, like with this movie, you could tell that Ari Aster had so much to say. Like he just was throwing so much at the script, throwing so much at the wall. You could tell that he really wanted to hit every single element that went on during 2020, not just the pandemic, but just everything that happened in 2020 in general. Obviously, COVID was like the biggest thing, but also gun violence, police brutality, George Floyd, the social media culture, all that shit. And you could tell that he really just wanted to make a film that encapsulated that entire absurd and surrealistic kind of experience when you think about it. Um, and I think like when it comes to that, I think he did just an immaculate job. Like I think when it comes to that, really terrific. Like I really have no complaints there. It really comes down to the fact where he. I'll just say this about it. I feel like my main negatives with the movie is more about the structure and the flow of it rather than like the writing in terms of the satire itself. Like I feel like when it comes to the comedy and the satire, like I never thought when I first watched Hereditary that I will be watching movies from the same director as funny as they are. Because Eddington is a hilarious fucking movie. Like this is a really funny movie that is very entertaining in my opinion. Um and always has like some clever yet has a clever but also in one way very stupid way of expressing a lot of ideas and realities of what happened during 2020. Um, and it's just great. It's kind of insane to think about how Ari Aster has evolved into making more satirical work than horror work. Because with Hereditary and Midsommar, I think everybody assumed that he was just going to continue to make more horror stuff. But he's strayed a bit away from that slowly and is making more satirical stuff. And that's fine. I mean, I'm here for it. I think he's a fucking insanely intelligent filmmaker, very creative filmmaker, very daring and bold filmmaker, and I'm all here for it no matter what he does. But I think it is kind of crazy to think about where he's evolved to this point. Um, but anyway, to get back on track, I'll just say that I feel like in terms of writing choices and in terms of flow and in terms of structure, I kind of wish that Ari Aster kind of reeled it in a little bit and kind of reevaluated the way that this film flowed because it hits a point a little bit over maybe half it feels at this point like halfway point of the film where a very pivotal thing happens like a pivotal event happens and after that event and it's an event involving Joaquin Phoenix's character and Pedro Pascal's character. And once that event happens, basically the rest of the film up until the last 5 minutes, I couldn't help but feel like, why do I care? Why should I feel invested? Why should I really why should I really feel like I should keep watching this movie? Like what is there here to really keep me hooked? What is it presenting narratively especially in terms of character that I should care about? Like what is it presenting to me that I should feel invested? And that was a huge issue that I had I guess at the halfway point. It's hard to tell really. But after that huge moment, I just kind of felt like, why should I care? Like, it doesn't really give you much to care about. I mean, the satire is there still, and it's entertaining. It's not necessarily boring or anything. It's just, it hits a point where you kind of feel like the film had very compelling setups. And then once those dynamics and once those setups get thrown out the window and it's just about something completely different and the characters aren't necessarily moral and especially like especially with Joaquin Phoenix's character. But in general, a lot of the characters feel very irredeemable, and I'm just kind of like, why should I like? What are you giving me here that I should continue to sit here and feel invested about it? And that's something that I really felt disappointed by, and I feel like it's a structural problem because Ari Aster had so much to throw at you, so much to say about 2020, but in one way, it feels like it wasn't the most organized. Like it could have been a little bit more. I don't mind the chaos because Beau's Afraid is a chaotic fucking movie, but a lot of it feels super by design, super intentional, like it's the point. And here I felt less so. Here I felt like, yeah, it's messy, it's chaotic, but not in a way that felt like it's the best version of what it could have been. Um, and I just felt like he should have really reevaluated the script a little bit, make it a little bit more focused, really hone in on the main things that he wanted to say, and the other stuff could have been like little sub themes here and there, but really have something that is central. And sure, you could argue that there is stuff like that, but in one way, it just felt like it gets a little bit lost in the sauce, and makes it to where it's not. I don't feel as invested as the viewer, and um, and yeah, it's a bit underwhelming. Like I still think it's a really good movie, and I very much enjoyed it, but it's definitely like my least favorite Ari Aster movie. And I still really appreciate him for doing what he's doing. I respect it wholeheartedly. His creativity is still very much off the charts, and I'm gonna be there day one to see whatever the hell he makes. But it does feel like this movie could have been a bit more focused and organized. At least in terms of narrative flow, could have been better. I mean, I will say this. I think the last like 5 minutes of the movie almost justifies it dragging for such a long time in terms of investment. Because again, as I mentioned, it goes on for like 30 plus minutes, 30 to 40 minutes of me being like, why should I care? Why are we doing this? Where is this going? And then the last 5 minutes happen. I'm kind of like, all right, I can see what this all was about. It attempts to justify what it did, but at the same time, I don't think it's quite enough. But it still works for what it's doing. And again, I think that in terms of satire, this movie accomplishes a lot. And I loved how this movie kind of pokes fun at everybody. Like it manages to feel level-headed and not feel so like completely one-sided and one-dimensional in terms of where Ari Aster lands on the spectrum. Like it on the political spectrum, I guess just to say that. But it I feel like it feels mostly balanced in terms of him making fun of whatever the left, him making fun of the right, because you have like a lot of jabs towards the left in terms of their kind of like absurd, social justice, college level culture war kind of crap. And then it makes fun of the right in terms of their basic ignorance of science and their like their convictions of tradition and their insane like conspiratorial mindset. There's a lot of that in it, and I think he did a good job at kind of like just poking fun at everybody in this movie and not feeling like so one-sided. Austin's Butler's character feels a little bit underutilized as well. Like he plays this like cultist, like alternative facts kind of religious prophet cult leader guy, and I felt like that he could have been incorporated and fleshed out more in the plot, or just not been incorporated at all. Either one, either flesh him out more or incorporate him more in the plot, whichever one. But he felt just definitely there and not having enough to do in the movie. But yeah, I think overall I enjoyed it, and I think it's really great. I won't say really great, but really good. Um, and it's very entertaining, very funny. It's just I think it does have a bit of a focus issue, and I think the structure could have been reworked, and some of the writing could have been reworked in a way that could have really crafted a more organized and compelling piece of filmmaking. Um, but instead, we got like a really excited Ari Aster to just throw so much at the audience, and overall, I feel like it didn't work as well as I hoped it would. Um, and yeah. Oh, also one other thing. I also really liked, especially with the last 5 minutes, as I was trying to allude to. Um, I kind of like how it demonstrates how we have people in power, and it almost feels like a direct jab towards the Biden administration, but at this point, also the Trump administration, about how we have people in power that are legitimately mentally incapable of the position. um, and it was just a really like interesting way to incorporate that into the plot, and how the people behind the scenes just use the leaders as puppets because they're very easily taken advantage of because they're again like mentally incapable of the position. um but but yeah, okay, that's the last thing I'll say. But yeah, overall, I still really like the movie. I think it's really good. Ari Aster, I feel like is still. I think he made a really good movie. So he's to me, he's 4 for 4. Great director, definitely one of my favorite contemporary filmmakers out there. Um, but I think I'll give Eddington a very strong 7 out of 10. Don't think I can quite give this an 8, but I'll give it a very strong 7. Um, Still think everybody should watch this movie. Everybody at my press screening clapped for it. Don't know if that's saying much because I think they also clapped for Megan 2.0, so whatever. But definitely movies to check out regardless. It's a very interesting and unique movie, and I respect the fuck out of filmmakers like Ari Aster who go out there and make very creative, boundary pushing, different kind of movies. And Eddington is just that. So um yeah, that's all I gotta say about it, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed my review for Eddington. You know how I am. I get really rambly. It's late at night. It's fucking like it's past midnight. But I just really needed to get this out for you guys because I'm about to start work, and once I start work, it's just nonstop. I have zero time for anything. Um, but yeah, there's that. Hopefully I'll have enough time to do one more Criterion haul. I doubt I'll be able to do it, but I'm gonna try my best. But that's it, guys. That's it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you really enjoyed my review of Eddington, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.